there, it's Ingrid Blackburn, and today we're going to do a really super simple project, and I love this background. This is the new peppermint stick background by Stamp of Approval. This is for the Candy Cane Lane collection, and I'm going to use the Candied Apple, which is probably the most recent Distress red ink. Now this is a really nice bright true red, so we're just going to get this covered really well. And because this background stamp is solid lines like that, it's very easy to just kind of drag my little spot here along, and then you can also just pounce it if you want to get a little bit more ink somewhere, but you want to get it thoroughly coated. We're going to do a little bit of watercolor stamping, and so what we're going to do here is we're going to now lightly spritz this. So I'm just have a mini mister here, and I'm just going to lightly, from far away, about a foot, just give it a couple spritzes there. And you can see that now it has a little bit of water kind of on it. I love this technique. Super easy, quick, and it creates great results. Now I have a piece of Strathmore 140 pound cold press paper, and I'm going to use the smoother side here. We're just going to lay that down, kind of get it positioned. You want to try and keep it as straight as possible. And then I'm just going to take a paper towel. I always have a roll of towels on my desk because I do a lot of watercoloring. I'm just going to place that down on top of it, and that'll absorb anything off to the side, but I just want to kind of allow that water, the wet dye-based ink, to just kind of soak in. Now if you don't have Distress inks, you can do this with other dye-based ink pads. Distress inks kind of give a little bit of a different result. They're a little unique. They have some really great watercoloring properties, but this will, like I said, this will work with other dye-based inks. And so now that we've given it a chance to kind of soak in, you can see that the paper is wet because it's starting to bow a little bit. We'll just lift that up, and then we're going to allow this to dry. So you need to put it to the side, or you can take a heat tool to it. But what I love about watercolor stamping is you kind of get that, you know, not so perfect feel, and it's okay if you have little splotched areas. That's actually part of what makes this project look the way it does. I love this look. Now I have a little bit of ink and water on here. My stamp is not very wet. So I'm just going to lay a piece of regular cardstock down. I'm going to do the same thing, just kind of transfer as much as I can to here. I'm not going to get a perfect image. And I'm not even sure how much ink was really left. Just a little bit, not very much. I was hoping for a little bit more. Probably should have added a little tiny bit more, but the one thing when you're using regular watercolor paper is you don't want it to be too wet because it doesn't react very well with that. But this is a great start to something, and I like to do this sometimes, just kind of get a second print if I can, because I can use this in another project, and this will be the base of something. I may do some stenciling over it, some sponging, but I have that really cool kind of texture in the background. So I went ahead and cut down my background that I created, and it's 4 1/4 inch wide and 2 inches tall, and then this is a 1/2 inch right here, just a little bit shy of a 1/2 inch actually. And I have a couple of the stamps from the Candy Cane Lane set as well. So I have and I'm using Candied Apple again, and this is Gumball Green by Stampin' Up. So I went ahead and cut out a couple of the die cuts here, and I have this great triple berry from the Candy Cane Lane set. So I'm going to ink this up in the Candied Apple, and I went ahead and actually sponged. I have some Real Red cardstock by Stampin' Up, and I went ahead and sponged some Candied Apple on there so that it would be a little bit more of a cohesive base. So we're just going to ink that up and stamp this. I find with these smaller dies it's a little easier to do it this way. There you have our little berries. And then for the large leaf, there's a smaller leaf as well. I do notice that this side's a little bit shorter and this side's a little bit longer. So you just want to kind of keep that in mind when you're stamping on here, because if I were to do it the reverse way, it would make it a little bit more difficult. So you're just going to kind of line up the 2 points and then get that stamped. And I find that you can actually do this fairly easily. So I don't get it always 100% right, but those I actually got pretty good. So now I have a couple of holly leaves. We'll get this adhered and popped up onto some foam tape. I just want to kind of figure out my placement here, like that, and then I'm going to go ahead and emboss this in gold, because after all, to me, Christmas cards, when I was a kid, they always had the gold or silver embossing to them, so that's what I want. And actually, maybe I'll do silver on this one. It'll be a little bit, kind of more of a cooler feel to it. So I'll go ahead and do that. Now I want to have a little bit of sparkle to this, so I'm just going to go over my berries and my leaf with my Spectrum Noir Sparkle pen. Just kind of add a little bit of sparkle to this. Now another thing you could do also when you're spritzing your background stamp, if you want it to be a little sparkly also, you could use a pearlized water as your mist instead of just regular water. So there we have it. This is a very easily mass-produced card. You can also use fun foam behind instead of tape, and all you need to do is just die cut all your pieces out ahead of time, and you can see it's a relatively inexpensive card also to make, but I really love the final result. It has kind of a little bit of an artsy feel to it, and at the same time it's very traditional. Thanks so much for joining me today. Be sure to stop by the blog to get all the details and see what other projects I've created with this great collection and these wonderful stamps, and I look forward to seeing you in another video soon. Bye bye.